Hello, welcome to Subject to Change, a sustainability podcast. Lauren and I are welcoming Lisa Goodwin Robbins. Hello, it has been forever and a day.
I know.
You have Kaylin Associates up on your title.
Yep, that's where I work. I didn't even think about
Anything
that.
go down there?
Well, we just write specifications. There's 9 of us, 8 of us writing specifications. So we see a lot of projects. Most of our clients are in the New England area, but the work is all over the world. And it's an interesting cross section, an interesting way to see what's going on.
Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you see the little microphone in the lower right, click on that to learn more. We're so glad you're here.
Anyway, let's refocus.
Well, you're in a new space. Let me just say that I like that space very much.
Thank you. I'm actually in the same space. I got my mom. So we just take a minute?
Game.
I want to give my mom super props.
Oh my God, it's beautiful.
And I want to tell you that I am the third owner for this chair that I'm sitting in. Third known owner. But I have this beautiful mid-century modern awesome chair that was a vintage find by an ex-boyfriend out of Connecticut. Cool. Who had me hold on to the chair and then never took it back. So he's obviously the vintage was the first owner, then he was the second. I'm now the third. And my mom just reupholstered it because I had a dog that chewed the cushion off. So I have this chair back. I'm so excited and it's like a favorite.
That's cool. And you've got the screen and the little, the plant, the biophilic element, and your lighting is better.
Yeah.
It's everything's moving in the right direction. But I'd just like to talk about the low embodied carbon of this chair. Because
I would agree.
Most of it is reused.
That's awesome.
Multiple times over. Although to Lisa's point in past lectures, if this chair ever catches on fire, it's probably pretty toxic to me.
Maybe that was pre-better living through chemistry.
Or it's just toxic to me just sitting in it right now.
Well, it depends on how old it really is.
It might be older than.
It might be pre-flame retardants.
Which would be cool.
What year is that, do you think?
I think that really started taking off in the 70s. Don't you think, Jody?
I think I'm on the bubble.
Yeah.
I think this chair is on the bubble for sure.
Yeah, I don't know enough about the exact dates, but I would suspect that safety consciousness started hitting in the 70s across the board. And that would be, so they would have put toxins in to create safety. And it's not until the zeros that we started to recognize that sometimes we were killing ourselves with safety.
And the whole better living through chemistry thing really took off in the 60s.
Yeah. 1 in 8 and 80%.
Silent Spring Institute is a nonprofit research organization dedicated to exploring environmental exposures that caused breast cancer. And the goal is to prevent breast cancer in the future. Great. So my short bit of stats is 1 in 8 American women will get breast cancer in her lifetime. And we all know people who've had it more than once, right? About 5 to 10% of people have a genetic link or the breast cancer gene thing, something like that. And we've spent, as a society, we've spent tons of money to find those genes, right? But 80% of women who get breast cancer have no family history, have no genetic profile. There's no reason why they got it. It's not bad luck, right? There's something in our environment that's causing massive amounts of breast cancer and younger women. So it's not just your imagination. You actually do know 20, 30-year-old women who have breast cancer for the first time. So that's the goal, is to find out what's causing breast cancer and prevent breast cancer. And if we can prevent breast cancer, we can prevent all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah. Did you hear in Biden's speech about making that really the moonshot?
I think he's not focusing enough on prevention.
I would
agree. Focusing on curing.
On cure. Yep.
and that like feeds our medical industry, and everybody loves that. There's going to be more money, and once you have cancer, yes, you want to be cured, but what if we could prevent people from getting it in the first place?
The Dana-Farber Institute.
Dana-Farber is our really big cancer place in Boston. It's like Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York and the Anderson Center in Texas. And so they did, in conjunction with a bunch of other groups, including Silent Spring, it was 2 hours for 3 times in a couple of weeks about, it was targeting medical professionals, doctors and nurses, how to talk to your patients about your environmental exposures to all sorts of horrible things. And it was wow. Great. They had so many really interesting speakers, and very rapid fire, and it was phenomenal.
It comes down to environmental exposures. Was there anything in those sessions that struck you, or that was particularly like attention grabbing as far as the environmental aspects?
Well, I spent a lot of time thinking about this, so there wasn't really anything in there that surprises me. But I also have some stats about childhood cancer. Because childhood cancer is such a small group, it's hard to do a study on them. But since the government started keeping statistics on children who get cancer, it was like 1973. And there's been a 35% increase in the number of children who've had cancer. Now, the survival rate is much, much better. You know, before the 70s, all children who got cancer died, basically. And now they don't. But why do we have so many more cases of cancer? You know, there's a very small amount that you can assign to better diagnosis, especially brain cancer. Apparently, that was something I remember from this conference, that we have better brain imaging now than we used to. But for the most part, it's environmental exposure, and that brings us to things like PFAS in the water supply, PFAS in synthetic turf, infertility, all kinds of lovely stuff.
Phthalates to soften things that kids are going to be chewing on, which is something that drives me absolutely crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
And what about crumb rubber?
Let's stop using crumb rubber flooring inside buildings.
Okay, so unpack that a little.
What's crumb rubber? Why? I'm an interior designer and I don't know what crumb rubber is.
Well, you know, when you go to the gym and the floor is that black rubbery speckled stuff.
Synthetic rubber.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that's made out of recycled automobile tires.
Oh yeah.
And we have rules in this country that you can't recycle your automobile tires into more tires, which means it can only be downcycled. And so they grind it up. They clean it as best they can, but they grind it up and they mash it together and make more flooring products out of it. So
that's it, into flooring. Yeah.
Think about what is on automobile tires: lead, arsenic, mercury, asbestos from brake pads, all kinds of disgusting stuff, all kinds of petroleum products. And you can't test the whole batch, right? You could test a handful, but how do you know that the whole thing is like that? So, and then we put it into floors and stick it inside gyms where small children lie on the floor.
What does Roger Rabbit have to do with material health? And I always have a problem with that because of the smell more than anything. I get really bad headaches from that rubber smell. I don't know if it's synthetic rubber or natural rubber that has that smell, but
it's probably a lot of the toxins that go in with it.
Yeah.
You know, like all those toxins that end in like xylene and toluene and all that stuff.
All the stuff that melted Roger Rabbit in the movie Roger Rabbit. That's what I always think of when I think of all of the like acetates and all the toluenes, all of that stuff was in that drum that the bad guy lowered all the
tunes
into the drum.
Yeah.
And we put that in our products.
You know, I was just
this is a real green chemistry problem, though. I mean, what else do you have for gym floors? Wood. You know, fitness room floors. Yeah, but you're not going to put wood underneath your Olympic weight set.
Cork. Oh yeah.
Cork, and that's a renewable resource, and the cork will grow back into the trees, but it has to be managed different. It has to be shipped. It doesn't grow here in the same way.
It's also hard to get thicker cork,
Yeah, thicker cork. right.
and most cork on the market is full of some nasty resin that wouldn't pass the sniff test either.
Right, the resin on the surface and also any glues that make it
Hold it
thicker.
together.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have about to go in search of a product that doesn't have that. I'll keep people posted on if I find one.
Okay.
Do
I
you know
have
of one?
one product made in the Netherlands, but I haven't gotten anyone to use it yet. I don't know why.
Oh, send it to me.
Okay, it's from a company called Herculan,
Okay.
and it's called they call it the Blue Pad. There's a liquid linoleum product. You pour it in place, and
That's interesting. So wow, I haven't really heard of
feel
that.
like you know about more interior products than I do, just by way of sourcing other people's specifications and being
That's-
able to review what what is it? What are we putting in here?
yeah, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
Back to tires and reuse.
Well, I've even the other day I was teaching about alternative construction methods for like residential properties. And one of the things that, you talk about as an alternative method is an earth ship. Well, an earth ship is nothing but tires. And like,
yeah, with packed in
but
soil.
like, what does that do something? I've got to imagine it does something.
A better option, look into Strawbale homes.
My roommate from college, Annie Tilt, is an architect in Northern California, and she and her husband have a firm called Arkin Tilt Architects, and they do a lot of straw bale construction.
Yeah, that was
earth,
amazing.
Yeah.
all sorts of really cool stuff. Their projects held up really well when the wildfires come through.
Really
nice, because
They
they've
did
got a
say
lime
one of the
plaster.
things-
right?
Yeah, one of the things
Yep.
that I reported, because I researched it as an alternative method, is that the hay is actually packed so tightly,
No hair
or
gets
the
in there.
straw, sorry, is
Yeah.
packed so tightly. Suburban girl here. that it's very fire resistant because
Yep.
of that.
One of the reasons I think that really doesn't take off in the Boston area and urban areas is that our square foot price is so high.
Mm-hmm.
In my neighborhood, an empty lot that's 10,000 square feet would easily sell for $1 million. So you're not going to build something that has 18-inch thick walls.
JEDI, justice, equity, diversity, inclusion. Our entire industry of financial understanding is broken because we're not factoring in anything other than the moment of investment, the moment of return.
Yes.
We don't realize the cost savings over even a 10-year lifespan of commitment to that building would have a huge impact.
Yeah.
So there have been some attempts like the cognitive function study in Syracuse really started to talk about
Yes.
the value of the people in the building as the bigger investment, and buildings need to support the people. And there are some metrics like that are cropping up in rating systems such as LEED. Certainly the WELL rating system has a lot of data in there. International Living Futures is all about not only the people, but then the community and then the planetary systems.
Right.
So we're getting there, but not fast enough. Not fast enough.
I think that's kind of a nice segue into this idea of JEDI, the JEDI goals.
I like it.
I
like it because in college, people used to say you are not a JODI yet. JODI.
That's a bad joke. Sorry.
It's a terribly. I'll cut that out because that was really bad. Ripples.
So that's like the pebble in the water ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
So that we understand with healthier materials, we started from like, we don't want little kids to be touching this, right? That's bad. And then
lead. Ooh.
Yeah. And then we start like moving out. And, I used to think that for organic food, I just paid attention to, what was it? The 14 things that were terrible for me. Like, I don't want to have peaches and strawberries with chemicals on them because I'm going to eat them. And I didn't pay attention to things like bananas. right?
Mm.
But then as you begin to learn about more ways that all this affects other people farther outside from your puddle, you realize that if they're pumping pesticides all over the banana plantations in Ecuador, those poor people are getting it. Right?
Yeah.
So then what the decision I make in the supermarket isn't just about what's going directly into my mouth. It's how the workers someplace halfway across the planet are being treated. And that's actually a new way to start talking to people about PVC. That, you know, PVC, yes, it's inert once it's in your building, but it's not inert to the poor people who live next door to the factory in Cancer Alley.
Right.
And you know, that part of Louisiana that we refer to as Cancer Alley, because it's full of poor Black people with cancer, because US petroleum companies built factories along there and didn't even hire the people who are getting cancer. They don't even work there.
Yeah. So have you seen Blue Vinyl? I mean, it's one of the first big environmental documentaries that hit probably close to 20 years ago, all about Cancer Alley and about research into dioxins and the issue with vinyl. And you would think, this is what makes me sad. You would think that after 20 some odd years of referring to a place as Cancer Alley, we would accept this as a real problem that could be solved. And yet
it could be solved. There's no will, and the petroleum companies just keep paying for the problem to go away.
The salt mill. Well, I remember at one of the Green Build conferences, one of the vinyl manufacturers was handing out really cool little salt mills full of salt to make the point that
PVC is salt.
PVC is totally the same thing as table salt.
Yeah, no.
And therefore can't possibly be bad for you.
Ann Hicks Harney was just on a rant about that the other day too.
We've created a false sense of safety.
I don't know. I don't want to go on a downer, but things feel so broken. It just feels broken. Yes. And it just feels like there's such a small tide of people that are attempting a small force of people attempting to reverse the tides. It just feels very...
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about like, oh, here's a red fuzzy carpet that will look awesome in my office, I'll buy it. That's easy, right? If you have to like think about where it came from and what it's made of and how it's sourced and who's building it and how it's going to get to you, it's a lot harder than just the one click on Amazon.
Well, and it's also we've created the impression, at least in the United States, that everything that is available to be bought has been proven safe by somebody.
True.
Oh, yeah.
So we have this absolutely false and inherently wrong understanding that there are consumer protection industries that actually protect consumers.
Yes. Yes. Almost all of my presentations about healthier materials start that way.
Yeah.
You know, if you put up that slide that says which government agency is protecting us from these things, and the answer is none of them.
None of them. We're really experimenting on our children. What is the total of? It's like 800 chemicals that are out there, and only...
No, it's 85,000.
85,000, and only some ridiculously low number have been tested, and none of them have been tested in combination.
Right.
That's the part that gets me.
Right.
Because we're mixing this stuff together all the time.
Well, and it's mixing in your body.
Yeah. Yeah.
All the time.
Even if it's not mixing in a product, you're absolutely right. Our bodies are like
we're the product.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a famous quote that I'm not going to remember correctly about we're just doing a big medical experiment on our children.
Yeah. One of my favorite books, I don't think I have it here. I think I have it at work. It's called, and it really opened my eyes, and it opened my eyes probably it's close to 20 years ago now. Homes That Heal and Those That Don't by Athena Thompson. And what was really, really good about that book was it talked about all of the toxins in consumer products and in building products. And it started every chapter with a story about exposure. And I distinctly remember reading one of the stories about somebody getting into a shower, and pulling closed the PVC curtain and turning the hot water on with the plastic surround in their bathtub that they had cleaned with bleach the day before, and that they had an automatic shower cleaner that automatically sprayed their shower once a day to make sure that everything dripped off fine and was clean. And it went through this whole process of talking about that, and then laying that out, and then talking about the shampoos and the deodorants and everything, and then said, you've just put a human being into a situation where you've created warm steam so that every single one of these things can get in through their skin and into their lungs easier.
Yep.
And you've never tested any of these contaminants, these toxins, these poisons in combination, and you're mixing them all. And that's our daily greeting the day ritual. Boom. Wow.
Yeah.
Baking soda and
and vinegar.
Baking soda, I go for the vodka. Baking soda and vodka. I don't go for the vodka.
White vinegar is probably less expensive in quantity.
Yeah, that's probably true. At least for cleaning the toilets, I use the vodka. I don't know why, it makes me feel better.
I like that idea. I've never heard of that before.
Me either.
Vodka's really good for cleaning glass too. It's better than vinegar. Huh. But you can clean everything in your house with a combination of those things, and maybe some essential oils if you want things to smell clean. Although I don't know really what that means. A small warning about essential oils.
Well, there's a recent paper from Silent Spring Institute that Ruth Ann Rudell and Beth Seda Cardona did, and they were testing all these. It was a big, when you start a research job and they make you do a literature review, the junior scientists, and you're always like, this turned up really, really interesting stuff. And they've made, like, from the literature review of all the things that are thought to cause breast cancer or are related to risks, they made a breast cancer risk map.
That sounds excellent.
It shows the chemicals that are the highest risk and the medium risk and the low risk. And the medium risk includes a lot of really, really common things, including some natural products that people think are safe because it's natural.
It's natural.
And one of the right in the middle of the graph is clove oil.
Really?
Yeah.
Because that's good for getting mice to go away. So I have used clove oil.
Peppermint oil is
probably used it just sparingly to get your mice to go away. You don't smoke clove cigarettes every day.
No, but I do use it when I make body lotion bars. I use clove oil and orange in the wintertime. So maybe I shouldn't be doing that.
I don't know.
Ooh,
I thought it was, I actually think that there's, I don't know, I should probably fact check myself before I say this, but the whole essential oil thing is that it's the preservative that allows it to continue to smell. That's the toxin. So yes, it's a natural material, but then they add this thing to it. So like if you make your own essential oils at home, that's like one thing, right? And you make them regular.
Isn't that true of everything though? I mean, if you make your own yogurt at home, you know what's in it. If you make your own, if you knit your own stuff, you can buy the yarn and it hasn't been treated with fire retardants in the same way, especially if you buy from local farms.
Yeah.
It's another layer of awareness.
And it might actually fit you.
Point. It might actually fit you. You know what? I'm not that skilled yet, but. Concerns about plastics. Plastics, which are petroleum based, that's got to be a huge factor in, like, we store our food in it. We ship our food in it. It's on every single grocery shelf. We're always ingesting plastic.
Yes. And the stuff we use to color it. Yellow solvent number 14 and stuff like that.
God.
You need a serious bout of systems thinking to correct all of this.
Systems thinking. There you go.
Yeah.
And like the level makes my brain hurt. at least at 5:30. Maybe at
Is it already
8 a.m.
5:30? Oh, it
It
is.
is already past
At 8
5:30.
a.m. it might be easier to come up with some solutions.
Okay, well, I have to warn you guys that I am giving a presentation at 6.
Yeah, we gotta let's do our wrap-up questions.
We all love talking and reading.
This has been a lot of fun, and I could clearly talk to you guys for another couple hours.
I know, and I mean we can.
Well,
yeah. Tonight we can't do that, but we can have you come back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's chat again, whether it's to be recorded or not.
Okay.
I think
Want to
this
see
is
what
really
I'm
awesome.
want to see what I'm reading today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Can you
What is
read that?
Oh,
Majora
yay.
Carter's book.
I just finished it.
We're interviewing her next week.
We're
No.
interviewing her next week. Yes, we are.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
She's awesome.
Jealous. She is awesome. Did you see her the time she spoke at ILFI?
No.
Oh, so that's where I saw her speak. And I will say the thing about the book is she in person is awesome and impressive. And the book just doesn't sound like her enough.
It's true.
Wow.
She's very human in that book. There are moments of bitterness and there are moments of revealing, that she's normal.
Yeah, well, and that the reason that she was doing this presentation at ILFI was that she was trying to balance the budget of her nonprofit on her speaking fees.
Yeah, it was huge.
Wow.
She traveled like a mad woman to cover like a $300,000 gap in the not-for-profit budget.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing.
Oh my gosh, this is.
Who would have even thought
amazing.
that's how you should close your budget?
She almost killed herself with the efforts she put in that regard, according to the book. I mean, it was just you got to read the book.
Can I read?
Oh yeah, it's short.
Yeah, it's short, it's quick,
Okay.
And it's really a good read.
and it was on the shelf at the bookstore. I didn't have to order it either.
Okay.
Awesome. Who can we look to for inspiration?
You
You might have already leaned into it a little with showing the book that you have. Who's your hero? Who can we and others who watch this video podcast, whatever we call it, we still don't know, who should inspire us as well?
There are lots of inspiring people everywhere. Majora Carter's definitely up there. I think she's doing really cool ideas, looking at things in a totally different way.
We should meet at her coffee shop. That's what we should do. We
That
should
would
do a
be
road
phenomenal.
trip and
Where
hang
is
out.
it? It's down in New York.
It's in the South Bronx.
In the Bronx, yeah. South
Oh.
Bronx.
Yep.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, so she's up on the list right now. And if we had another hour to talk, I was going to bring up Design for Freedom, which is a project out of Grace Farms in New Canaan, Connecticut, and it is all about stopping slave labor in the building industry.
That's great. That was one of the sessions at Nessie.
Yes.
That's awesome.
So I have a new project at Yale Divinity School, and I talked them into being a pilot project, because what could be a better? That's like perfect, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
You're
Oh,
so
good job.
smart. You do such cool things.
That's great.
See, I want to be Lisa Goodwin Robbins.
Or a duplicate of, so that we can get double the work done.
Yeah. Fair point. Fair point.
And where should our focus be?
And then our other question that we always ask, and I don't know, maybe your concept kind of plays into this, but maybe not. If the whole world had to stop being concerned with what they themselves were concerned with and only focus on one initiative as a collective population, what would your proposed initiative be for the world to solve together?
Well, it's got to be about war, right?
Ooh, okay.
I mean, we are
yeah.
speaking today at the beginning of the Ukrainian crisis, and unfortunately, it's the beginning.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's got to be about war, because if you can stop war, then you can feed people and educate people and all that good stuff.
I think if you could definitively stop war, think of the resources that would be released to
Just
be
look at the
spent on
cash.
everything else.
Just look at the cash.
Yeah. Hoorah.
Yeah.
Right.
We have not had that one before. That's an amazing
But it is true that if you could focus on something, I'm going to say something that, I'm not going to say simple, something that basic, with the powers of the entire population of the planet, it would be resolved very quickly.
This is why more women should be in charge.
I agree.
That comment, however, comes up frequently on this.
Gee, I
That
wonder
comment
why.
comes up from women and men in our entire pod. I mean, it's like it's always. That's great. Thanks for joining us for Subject to Change, a sustainability podcast. Lauren and I really appreciate your time, and thanks to Lisa, we've learned so much from you. All right, well, I'm gonna buzz out.
You're gonna jump. All right, sounds good. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you
so much.
Lisa.
Always good
Amazing.
to see you.
And I will talk to you both again soon, I hope.
Yeah.
Absolutely.